Continuing coverage now of breaking news and a Fox News alert. President Biden downplaying Putin's threat of nuclear war just hours from his first State of the Union speech as economic crises mounts and the war in Ukraine rages. Let's get to David Spunt. He's live for us in Washington with more on this. David, good morning.
Hi, Trace. And we are told President Biden has made several revisions to that State of the Union speech. To speak a little bit more about Ukraine, expect that to be a big chunk of that speech. Listen, at the White House, de-escalation is the key word. The Biden administration, officials there do not even want to go there when it comes to serious talk about nuclear war. The president yesterday simply said no when asked if Americans should be concerned about nuclear war. This comes as the Russian President Putin announced that his nuclear arsenal would be put on standby due to what he calls more aggressive talks from NATO and the United States. But again, you have to remember this is Putin's spin, and the United States has no plans to put our nuclear arsenal on high alert. Listen.
It's also important to remember that even over the course of the last several months and years, when we have had significant disagreements with Russia over a range of issues, Russia and the United States have long agreed that nuclear use would have devastating consequences and have stated many times, including earlier this year, that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought.
Trace, the president spent some time on the phone yesterday with NATO leaders from all of the big countries working together, really just to make life difficult for Vladimir Putin so he pulls out of Ukraine. The White House announced new sanctions targeting Russia's central bank, blocking the ability to redistribute assets and evade sanctions that were announced over the weekend. The ruble hit record lows against the U.S. dollar, forced the Bank of Russia to close stock trading on the Moscow exchange on Monday. And just hours ago, Trace, Ukraine's foreign minister tweeted that he spoke to Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Minister Dmytro Kuleba, said Ukraine needs more weapons and sanctions, and he claims Secretary Blinken assured the U.S. would help with both. Trace.
Yeah. Getting those weapons in could be a bit of an issue. David Spunt, live for us in D.C. David, thank you. Allies are standing behind Ukraine to put pressure on Vladimir Putin after he reportedly used what's called a vacuum bomb. Putin seems to be getting more aggressive each day and apparently is not showing any signs of letting up. So what could his next move be? Let's bring in United States Air Force retired Brigadier General Blaine Holt. You know, General, we talked with David Spunt just now about the whole concept that, you know, that Vladimir Putin was even mentioning nuclear weapons, putting them on alert. What do you think about that? Does it concern you?
All of it concerns me. This drastic, exponential escalation is something that we should all sit back and understand, that this is no longer just about Vladimir Putin's private war on Ukraine. This has got global ramifications when you do that with the nuclear force. So, yeah. Trace, thanks for having me. I am very concerned tonight about what I'm seeing, especially with these bombs.
Yeah, and you see what's happening on the ground. You see these talk of bombs, and then you see, you know, French President Emmanuel Macron comes out and says that Putin told him he would not attack civilians, he would not go after infrastructure. And then you look at the city of Kharkiv, General, and that's exactly what he did. He went after infrastructure and he went after civilians.
Yeah, there's always this, you know, in most wars, you'll find the information war element, and you've really got to, back to Reagan's words, trust but verify the information that you're told from belligerents on the battlefield. And and in this case, absolutely, he is saying things that are not true. And what I can tell you, though, is these vacuum bombs, the Iskander missile system is what was used primarily, 113 of them is my understanding. They are well against the Geneva Conventions, and they are being fired at civilians. We should just be very blunt and honest about what we're seeing. And then the cluster bombs, they're also being used quite illegally.
Yeah, and when do we get to the point, General, in your estimation, where if in fact he is violating, committing war crimes, when do we get to the point where the West gets fed up and takes different action?
Well, the West has been a few steps behind this thing the whole time. We should have started with some of this deterrence a year ago when we started seeing the formation of troops on the Ukrainian border. So I think it's high time that the West get affronted by this, because this is not where we were 3 weeks ago when we were trying to stop this. This is a whole new place, and the West needs to be talking about a range of elements, including a tribunal at The Hague. And I think that could also come out of Russia. He's not very popular with his own people right now either.
The White House has dismissed the no-fly zone. Is that the right call in your estimation, General?
You know, I don't believe it is. I think you confront a bully with power, and this bully respects power. He doesn't respect weakness. And so I think that there should be talks, open talks and debates about a no-fly zone, what that can look like in this case. Certainly Iraq, Libya, Syria had no-fly zones. They're not even NATO partners and did not fight alongside of Americans. And this country is valiantly trying to protect itself.
Yeah, it's interesting because you look at the world scenario and you see the world become more united behind Ukraine. You look at Russia, there are protests on the ground. They are becoming more divided. This is all very frustrating, clearly, for the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. When does that frustration become a danger to the people of Ukraine and to the rest of the world?
It's a danger now. We only go up from here. What we saw with those Iskanders today becomes something far worse tonight when they get back at it again, and we're just in a completely new place, and we're going to have to start relooking at this entire thing. You know, a lot of people like to say things like, "Well, they're not Article 5 member." Qualification for that, so we can't really go in, disavowing themselves of this. But let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago that we were in Bosnia or Kosovo with coalitions of the willing. So the West needs to be willing. The United States hasn't even blocked Aeroflot from its airspace yet. We need to now be aggressive, and we're the monster. We're the ones with the power. We need to take the leadership role that the world needs us to right now.
Back to the situation on the ground there. We talked about that convoy, 40 miles, says the satellites in space. They've got to go through that chokehold, General. And my question to you is, do you think the Ukrainians have enough Javelin missiles, enough anti-tank missiles to be able to at least slow this thing down enough where they can brace the city?
Well, as an airman, I can tell you that what I see is the ability to slow that column down and interdict it. They need air. They need close air support air. They need to be ripping up those columns from the sky, and I think that it doesn't have to be anything that's overwhelming. You just need to bully the nose of that column, and I don't think this enemy's got the fight in them if they're deterred enough with a frontal stopping.
Yeah, I know you're well versed in diplomacy. Tomorrow night, the president has his first State of the Union speech. What would you like to hear him say pertaining to this war in Ukraine?
I would love to hear the president say that accommodation of Vladimir Putin stops now. I would love to hear our president say that we're going to temporarily suspend our flirtations with the Green New Deal, because at the end of the day, while carbon may be harmful to the environment, plutonium is lethal and much worse for the environment. And I'd like to hear the president have resolve, and I'd like to see our Congress back him up and get behind him on that.
Yeah, I just very quickly, we've got about a minute left. I wanted to play this soundbite. It's from Kurt Volker, the former U.S. ambassador to NATO, and get your quick response on the other side.
Everyone has come around now to see Putin for the brutal dictator and aggressor that he is, and to support Ukraine. I think this will be ultimately the end of Putin. These are the actions of a madman.
I think he's right on the fact that we have all seen that he's a brutal dictator and aggressor. I think there's some question about the back half of his answer saying this is the end of Putin. Your final thoughts?
I think Putin's gone past the point of no return. This is a man who was just a little while ago feared and respected at the G20 level, and now he's reduced himself to a thug level like Saddam Hussein. And I think it's his inner circle that he should probably be very worried about. Russia's going to have to clean its own house. This is a war of Putin versus Ukraine, not Russia versus Ukraine.
General, always great to have you on, sir. Thank you for the insight.
Great to have you, Trace. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Meantime, coming up, the images coming out of Ukraine are heartbreaking, heart-rending. They are horrifying. Citizens arming their families and neighbors in a valiant effort to fight off the invading Russian army. The battle for Kyiv is now in day 6. We'll have a live report on the ground next. And a Fox News alert, thousands now bracing for the worst in Lviv, Ukraine, as refugees flow through the city and neighborhoods are transformed into war zones. Let's bring back our senior correspondent, Mike Tobin, who's on the ground in Lviv. Mike, give us the situation where you are right now.
Well, we're watching a bunch of different points, and one of them is Kharkiv, which is to the east of the country, subject to a brutal and unrelenting as well as an indiscriminate attack yesterday. When you have an indiscriminate attack with rocket fire like you do yesterday, you get collateral damage, unintended targets. One of those is a school, and one of the things you can see as you look at video of this school are the black streaks coming up from the window. So that indicates, in addition to taking the strike, there was a fire that burned there for some time, and you find in these situations the fire crews can't necessarily get to something and put it out because, one, they have so many things to put out. Two, the fighting oftentimes prevents them from getting there. But yesterday, Kharkiv was subject to this unrelenting fire from multiple launch rockets, Grad rockets coming in. And the thing is, it's indiscriminate when you use a weapon like that. That's an urban population. Stands to reason you're going to get a lot of civilian casualties. And in fact, that is what we are hearing from the ground. Also watching Kherson, which is to the south of the country on the Dnieper River toward the Crimean Peninsula. There's a bridge there that connects the mainland to the Crimean Peninsula. That really seems to be the battle of the focus of this particular battle. All of those coastal towns, Mariupol, Berdansk, Odessa, Nakalivka, all of these are of key importance. We know that the Russians do have some foothold in those locations. It remains to be seen if they're going to be challenged in all of those locations by the Ukrainian forces because they have to simply get there. But if the Russians are able to control all of those towns, that would mean control over access to the water, and that would mean resupply. It changes the dynamic for them. All eyes are really to the north of the country, and that is on this convoy, now estimated at 40 miles long, a convoy of armor, infantry, and weapons coming from the Belarus border, headed to the capital city of Kyiv. A very ominous sign, Trace, of things to come.
And I think for context, Mike, we should note to everybody that you were our Middle East correspondent for several years. You have seen your fair share of war. This one in the first 6 days has been unusual. Is it your sense that momentum is shifting a little bit, Mike?
Well, there's momentum and shift on the part of the Ukrainians in terms of spirit, morale, because so much of the Ukrainian unification is with them. So much of the world is behind them. Unfortunately, what the Russians have is simply might with their army. You hear people out here who are part of the resistance, who are making the Molotov cocktails, saying the Russian army hasn't ever really been tested, and when they have been, say by the Chechens, they didn't stand up well to the resistance. That's what they say as they try to be brave in the face of such an ominous enemy. But when you're talking about an armor column some 40 miles long, that's tough, Trace.
Yeah, and quickly, Mike, you know, we heard a lot about these ceasefire talks today. They were not successful, but there was some progress made. Both sides alluded to that. Do you think, is it your sense that in the days to come, they say there'll be more talks? Is there maybe a will to hold a ceasefire, or do they need a deal in place before they stop shooting?
It seems they need to strike a deal on at least something. Usually what you see with these ceasefires is they hold for a little while, and then some skirmishes will break out, which give way to all-out fighting. Certainly we saw that a lot in the Middle East. Let's see how it goes. If there's anything they can strike a deal on, of course, what the Ukrainians want is an unconditional ceasefire.
Yeah, indeed. Mike Tobin, live for us on the ground. Mike, back to you as the news breaks. As always, still ahead, a massive wave of Russian troops marching into Kyiv right now. Americans wondering how it will factor into President Biden's speech later on Tuesday, his first State of the Union. A national security expert joins us next to break it all down.
Just got an alert from Monster for a great job. Might be out of here soon.
Let me know when that happens. Let me know when that happens.
Is arthritis or joint pain holding you back? JointFlex is clinically proven to penetrate right to the source of pain for fast-acting and long-lasting relief. X out your joint pain with JointFlex. Now try nighttime pain relief with Massager.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my brand new product, My Slippers. What makes my slippers different from those other slippers is my exclusive 4-layer design. I wanted my slippers to have everything you'd ever want in a pair of slippers.
When I first put my slippers on, I was like, wow, they feel great, and most importantly, they have the support that I need in a pair of slippers.
They're comfortable, they're elegant, and they make me feel like I'm at home, no matter where I'm wearing them.
I love my slippers. I never thought that I would have a pair of slippers that I felt comfortable wearing any place, anytime, anywhere.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen and use the promo code for a limited time offer of 50% off your pair of My Slippers. The problem with ordinary slippers is they only provide basic support, have thin soles, and you just can't wear them comfortably all day.
My slippers 4-layer design solves all these problems. The first layer is My Pillow's patented foam, which will help prevent fatigue and offer you incredible support. My second layer is a memory foam that will give you amazing comfort. And layer 3 is my patented impact gel that'll help reduce stress on your feet. And layer 4 is a durable outdoor-indoor sole so you can wear my slippers anywhere, anytime.
You can enjoy My Slippers cooking in your kitchen or relaxing in your home, walking the dog, at a restaurant with friends, or running errands. You can wear My Slippers anytime, anywhere.
What I love most about my slippers is that I can wear them all day long and not have to change shoes. I am comfortable from morning till night.
Go online or call right now to order your very own pair of My Slippers. Use the promo code for 50% off, Mike's lowest price ever. And when you call, Mike will include a free gift. This is a limited time offer, so call now.
I personally guarantee the first time you put them on, they'll be the most comfortable slippers you'll ever own.
State of the Union reaction. Following President Biden's speech to the nation, get can't-miss insight and analysis you won't get anywhere else. Watch our special lineup tomorrow.
If you're worried about your next heart checkup, I've got great news. Your future doesn't need to be filled with harsh pills or restrictive diets. Meet Omega Q Plus Max, the doctor-formulated heart health supplement containing 5 key ingredients clinically validated to support the 5 key markers of heart health: blood flow, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and inflammatory response. And we'll get you started on Max with a complimentary sample. Just text PLUSH to 231231. But talk is cheap, so we'll put our money where our mouth is. We're so sure Max works, we'll guarantee your next checkup is your best ever. That's right. Some of your best blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, even increased energy, or your money back, guaranteed. Get your complimentary sample of Max by texting PLUSH to 231231. Text now, and you'll also receive a free bottle of Dr. Sinatra's Heart Healthy Multivitamin. Text PLUSH to 231231.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms.
Attention military personnel. If you or a loved one served in the military between 2002 to 2016 and later experienced hearing loss or tinnitus, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation